Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be covering the second part of what if Goku was a hybrid, or what if he was half human, whatever I'm going to end up calling this series in the long term. As I mentioned in the previous video, the first part really blew up, so I figured I'd prioritize the second part here and try and get it out as soon as possible. I'm going to get into the intro since I'm going to make it a little longer than usual. Alright, so at the end of the last part, we ended at the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament and the results of that. Now, I have been getting some comments of people putting their own thoughts on the series and where it will go, and while I appreciate that, I want to clear some things up. I will cover Chi-Chi's origins in the video, and other Saiyans during the invasion and later will be brought up, and Gine may be mentioned as a passing reference when Raditz shows up. Besides those bits of spoilers, I'm probably going to let you guys enjoy the series by yourselves as the story plays out. Alright, well this has been going on long enough, I don't want to wait too long, so let's get into the video itself. As usual, Goku goes on his journey and becomes stronger, and he comes across the Red Ribbon Army as usual, which for him in this timeline is no big deal. It's actually even less of a challenge than it is usually, so he doesn't have any trouble doing any of the important events. After taking care of the few generals that are left around, he ends up going and training with his father, and he decides to grow stronger that way. Bardock sees good potential in his son and decides to teach him to control the Great Ape form by teaching him to balance his power well in the transformation. Eventually, Goku's training is interrupted, and he hears from Bulma that some things are going down in the land of Korin and that he needs to help out. Apparently some suspicious activity has been happening, and they hear about someone even being sent there to cause some trouble. This of course piques Goku's interest, so Bardock tells him to go off and deal with the issue, and he does so, arriving there just in time to see a mercenary arrive. The mercenary introduces himself as a man named Tao, and he doesn't take Goku seriously as he just perceives him as a basic child. Of course, Goku doesn't take that threat lightly, and he tells Tao to leave, but he doesn't, and he keeps trying to harass the people there, and this leads to Goku threatening him with a fight. Tao decides to fight and take down the man, trying to prove his strength to Goku, but Goku ends up stopping him, saving the man's life, who he later learns is named Bora. This leads to a solo fight between Tao and Goku, and of course Goku wins this fight because of his enhanced strength, and now because he gets his first major rage boost. With Goku knowing that Tao's a threat, he decides to take care of him then and there with a giant Kamehameha, wiping him out of existence. Goku has a short conversation with Bora and Appa about their lands and their history before he goes off to fight with his friends at Kame House. During this training, they end up growing stronger, and they end up learning about the tournament and trying to get a head start on their training. At some point, Goku goes to train back with Bardock, and this time he brings Chi-Chi with him as a way to get her training like him with other Saiyans. Before Bardock can start training the two, he asks Chi-Chi about her history, and she replies with some information. Chi-Chi says that she doesn't have many memories of her past life, but she knows that she came here as a toddler on a mission. She doesn't know what that mission was exactly, as the Ox King found her, and he decided to raise her as his own. And after that, he basically raised her as a regular human, even though he probably knew that she wasn't from here. Anyway, once they get back on the topic of training, Bardock offers her the power of mastering the Great Ape form, but she declines, not wanting to use it. During the later stages of the training, Chi-Chi even trains with Goku in Great Ape form to try and make herself even stronger. After this, it's not long before the 22nd World Tournament arrives, and Bardock brings them there so they can sign up. Now, going over some power, we have Goku and Chi-Chi, who are the strongest there, with no one else being able to contend with them except Tien Shinhan. Now, skipping to the last two fights, we have Goku facing off against Jackie Chun and Chi-Chi facing off against Chiaotzu. Yamcha faces Krillin and Tien faces Nam. Chiaotzu tries to tire Chi-Chi out using his regular abilities, but she even has the power of temporary flight, so he is eliminated. Goku vs Jackie Chun is a rematch of last year's finals, and Goku eventually wins after using his extra power on him. Now, Tien and Krillin both move on, so it's Chi-Chi versus Tien and Goku versus Krillin. Krillin tries his hardest to beat Goku, but he's nowhere near Goku's level, so he ends up losing. The same thing happens with Chi-Chi, and even though she is a Saiyan, Tien is more skilled than she is. Now, the final battle would begin between Goku and Tien, and it would be a tough fight all around. However, Goku's extra strength and stamina leads to Tien being tired earlier than usual. As Tien gets tired and less powerful, he ends up getting knocked off the stage by a powerful Kamehameha. Goku wins his first world tournament instead of losing here, and as usual events play out, Krillin ends up dying and Goku ends up discovering his body. As everyone looks upon the scene and Roshi explains what has happened, Goku ends up getting a massive rage boost and no one can control him. After hearing enough of the explanation, he flies off trying to find the creature that killed Krillin. It isn't long before Goku finds Tambourine, and with his extra power and rage boost in this timeline, he ends up killing him swiftly. Goku in his fit of rage still doesn't fly back to the group, instead he flies off to Mount Paozu to go see his father. Bardock senses a massive power level coming towards him, and eventually he recognizes it as his son, shocking him. When Goku finally arrives, Bardock asks why he is so strong there, and Goku has no idea as he sort of blacked out during his rage boost. Of course, once Goku explains everything, Bardock kinda understands why he did that, and he understands the concept of a rage boost. So Bardock tells him that if he's gonna face the King Piccolo guy and try and bring him down, he's gonna have to get stronger, so Bardock offers to train him. Goku of course accepts because he wants to be stronger and he wants to take revenge for Krillin's death. Bardock even brings up the concept of trying to use his Grade 8 power in his base form to see if that can make him stronger. Goku accepts all advantages here, so he ends up taking the deal and he trains with Bardock to master his Grade 8 power internally. This leads to Goku being stronger than usual as he has a massive boost from his Grade 8 power inside of him. Bardock eventually senses that Goku has had enough training and tells him to go find his friends so they can figure out a plan. Luckily, when Goku finds the group, they do have a plan set in place to use the Mafuba, as they explain it to Goku as a way to contain evil and make sure it doesn't escape. So they set up the plan for Roshi to set up the Mafuba and confront King Piccolo while Goku and Tien try and contain him. It takes a while for them to find a place for this plan, but once they do, they end up confronting the king himself. King Piccolo seeks his youth again and sees this as the only thing that can stop him from achieving that power. Once Roshi springs the trap, it gets King Piccolo caught in the wave. Goku and Tien try and contain him inside of it. As Roshi tries to close Piccolo into the wave, he ends up getting out of it through sheer will, causing Roshi to die. It takes everyone a few seconds to realize what has happened, and eventually Goku realizes that Roshi has died and he gets mad due to his rage boost. This rage boost, being the strongest one he's had yet, ends up dwarfing King Piccolo in power and he stands no chance in the fight. Tien, seeing how powerful Goku is right now, decides to play distraction on the side of the battle. After a surprisingly short fight, Goku punches straight through King Piccolo and he spits out an egg not that far away. However, unlike the original timeline, Tien actually sees the egg and decides to go get it. After thinking about it and deciding that they should just destroy it since it's one of King Piccolo's creations, they are contacted by a voice in their heads. This voice introduces himself as Kami, the guardian of the earth, and he tells them that they can't destroy the egg, otherwise he'll die. So he tells them the location of the lookout and to meet them there when they're ready, and they end up heading to the lookout immediately. They are met by Kami and Mr. Popo as they question why they were brought here. Kami explains his connection to King Piccolo and the egg and why it's so necessary to his survival. Goku and Tien begin to understand that Kami is actually good despite looking like King Piccolo, and they hand the egg over to him. This leads to Kami telling them that he will raise his egg to be nothing like King Piccolo's. He surely programmed himself into it at the end of his life. After this all happens, both Tien and Goku go back to training, Goku eventually bringing Chi-Chi back with him to train with Bardock and beginning their long session towards the next tournament. Throughout the years, both Chi-Chi and Goku both get their growth spurt and even agree to start dating during this time period. Having grown closer throughout their life, this isn't nearly as hard of a decision as usual, and Goku isn't nearly as dumb as he usually is during this timeline. Goku gets better at mastering his rage boost and his internal Grade 8 power. Chi-Chi also benefits greatly from training with Goku and Bardock, understanding her Saiyan power better. Everyone else benefited from their training with Goku and Chi-Chi earlier in the story, but now that they train with Bardock most of the time, it isn't nearly as effective. They eventually fall behind like in the regular story, but it's even earlier in this case. Piccolo grows up like normal, but instead of being evil, he ends up growing into the guidance of Kami. Over time, Kami intends to raise Piccolo as the next guardian of Earth. This time Piccolo still sees Goku as his rival, but only in terms of fighting him and proving who's stronger. The build to this 23rd World Tournament is far less tense and just filled with training and trying to grow stronger from every fighter. Now we can assume who would move on in this tournament based on what I said already, but there is a little surprise here as Bardock joins the tournament as well. Seeing this as a chance to spar with his son now as an adult, he joins hoping that he can fight either his son or Piccolo. Now to the surprise of nobody, Bardock does make it to the semifinals and he does end up facing Goku. Chi-Chi, on the other hand, made it to the semifinals as well, and she ends up facing Piccolo. The father-son fight goes first, and it's exactly how you think it would be, as a tough back-and-forth fight. The thing is, Bardock never intended on winning this fight, so he holds back, letting Goku eliminate him without letting him know exactly what happens. Meanwhile, the other match is a bit more one-sided, as Chi-Chi is a bit more weaker than Goku is, and this allows Piccolo to pick up the victory. Now this leads us to an alternate take on the original finals here, with Piccolo being neutral during this time, and Goku being his regular self, just a bit more Saiyan-like. Now, instead of the chaos that happened originally, it's a really fair fight this time around, with each one trying to fight fair when they can. Now, of course, Goku does get the upper hand here because of his Saiyan genes allowing him to grow during the fight. Now, this isn't to say Piccolo isn't a fair fight for Goku in this form, it's just that he isn't strong enough to keep up with him long term. After a few more minutes of struggling to keep up from Piccolo, he gets knocked out by a big Kamehameha from Goku. And with that, Goku wins his second world tournament, with Piccolo showing him some respect at the end before going off to Kami again. Goku is once again celebrated by his friends, and specifically Bardock and Chi-Chi. Bardock takes Goku back to Mount Paozu, and Chi-Chi goes with them, officially moving in with them. Alright, so that's where I'm going to end the video. I do thank you for watching the video if you made it this far. If I sound a little sick there at the end, I do have a little bit of congestion at the moment, but I had to finish the recording, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, this one took a little bit longer to do, and I do thank you for watching the video and making this worth the effort. With that being said, I am out.